Welcome to another episode of the Headlight Restoration Pro. I'll be showing you how to take this to something like this and explaining to you the surprise the detail shop ran into when they couldn't polish the headlights out. I mean, just basic polish, nothing else. And they had to tell the customer to take a hike. We can't do it. Stay tuned.
The Headlight Restoration Pro.
Top-notch quality.
High-performing headlights can help a driver identify a potential hazard in just 2 seconds.
Let's get down to business. This is a 2008 Lexus RX 350. A really nice vehicle of all years. I was thinking about getting one a little bit newer than this one, but very nice, economical, family little type of hybrid vehicle, far as it's almost like a regular vehicle slash minivan, SUV, all that. But as you see this little spot right there, this is where the detail shop that she drove to and waited for like an hour and 10 minutes for them to try to figure out why they couldn't polish this headlight out. She did this about a month and a half ago, and she said yes, of course, already she's glad that she didn't go through with it because they were charging her just a fraction under what I'm charging her, and it came back already in a month and a half, and she was defeated, and she was thinking about getting new ones. But then she thought to herself, which all people should always think of the situation, were they full of shit, or were they underskilled, or were they whatever? Just because you can pull into a shop doesn't mean shit. I just ran into that situation myself with a misdiagnosis for my car window, which drove me crazy, by a very popular chain, which I'm not going to mention their name, but I'm just going to say the end of their name starts with boys. But anyhow, yeah, they kind of fucked me over, and I got my money back and all that stuff. They couldn't fix something, and they didn't even like look or whatever, and that's what happened. But nevertheless, they tried to do what I'm doing right now. So what I'm attempting to do is polish headlights, because I'm very good at every aspect of headlight restoration. Okay, whether it's polishing headlights, whether it's wet sanding, hand sanding, whatever you name, I'm good at. Okay, and a whole lot of other stuff. As you can see, my polishing is superb. Okay, but this is just a shit way to produce or even offer it for a paying customer. If it's not like, hey, I'll do it for $20, it's just not worth it. These guys are out here charging for a full headlight restoration for this. But as you see this, what's going on? I'm going over the spots that they went to, or what they did. Okay, and I'm not going to say no names, of course. They told me, she told me what location it was, and I know the location well, and they do all kind of body work, all kind of ceramic coatings and all this shit like this. But a lot of detailers don't want to do a full headlight restoration. They're just going to polish out your headlights and charge you for a headlight restoration, which I don't understand why, being that I do everything they do and a whole lot more. But look at it. What is going on here is there is permanent etching into the light. This light has never been restored, so you have to do a full headlight restoration. This polisher is pushing a lot of RPM, 7,800 RPM plus. Okay, depends on how you pull the trigger or whatnot, or how you get it going. I suspected it took a lot to milk up on that. Usually as soon as you touch it, it goes back to clear. But this is a false, okay? Not only does it come back, because it's not protected at all, it comes back because basically the damaged cells or the damaged fibers in the headlight are still there. All you did is kind of heat bleached them, or, from the friction of the rotary or whatever you're using, the polisher, it just kind of heat bleaches the damaged shit. So it's still there. This is the main reason why you're doing sandpaper, because as you see, it's kind of a tarnish. If you don't believe me, look how it's kind of a tarnish, but it's super crystal clear, right? The part that could come out. This white stuff here is what they ran into, is why you can see they stopped on both sides. It will not come out. It has to be sanded out. It's deep etching, much deeper than any polish could just get. So no matter what they did or how much RPM they had or how much they polished this, which it looks like they went for a long time, and I'm thinking they had, look at this yellow. See how it's still yellow? See how it's still yellow coming off of that? You know, that means it's still damaged cells. I call them cells. You can call them cells. You can call them fibers. You can call them molecules. It's all the same thing. This matters of, you know, what you're referring to. I also suspect that they used a very large polisher. Just from the pattern that was used or whatever, which I tell everybody all the time, using a big giant ass polisher, an 8-inch pad, a 7/8, 5-inch, 8-inch, you know, 6-inch, you know, with the DA attachment or with the DA polisher, it's just not gonna cut it. For one, it's too big and it affects the RPMs. Okay, it's the same kind of principle why a motorcycle is a lot faster than a vehicle. Besides, you know, the size ratio, whatever, the engine works a little bit different because its RPM ratio is a little bit different because it's smaller. Okay, so nevertheless, let's not get too complicated into that, but the RPM is different. It's so vastly different the smaller you get, okay? The smaller you get, the RPM is different. It's why a big polisher, if it, you know, is going to do one thing, and then if you go all the way down to the RPMs of, say, like a drill bit or something smaller size of a drill bit, will really literally drill holes in the stuff because the focus is so much different, okay? So they're using something which a lot of them do, and a lot of people who polish only headlights, these polishers use these big old DA pads that are meant for polishing panels on the you know, vehicle or whatnot and other stuff, and it's just not the right tool for the job. It's not focused enough, and it's you know, it's not only that it's a DA, a dual action, moves in two different ways. It like oscillates and then it like moves back and forth. It does these different motions, okay, that really don't help the headlight in any kind of, you know, of course you can produce a little something, but it's just not the same shit. Okay, a rotary, which is what I'm using here, are all my tools that are used on headlights, whether it's the polisher or this. These two things are rotary. Okay, they, you know, they spin in one direction. Okay, that's the double stuff popped up. I'm losing some traction with the back piece of my double stuff, but I was already done with that part. Just using that on the nub. This has a elevated little I don't know, biscuit or nub or whatever this is up here you want to call it. It's a little elevated part. The rest of it is pretty flat, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of it here with just a regular non-double stuffed, being that I already got that spot. But anyways, you have to have a rotary, and you have to have it the right size. I'm saying 3-inch is the perfect size. 4-inch would be a bit too big. 2-inch would be a bit too small. 3-inch is perfect. That's why most things that come pre-headlight restoration oriented are 3-inch. Okay, because if you've tried it, I've tried 5, I've tried 6, I've tried 2, I've tried 1. And you know, 1 is only real good, and 2 is only real good for small corners that you can't reach, which damn near is you know, impossible. It's very rare that I can't reach a corner with this by angling it or whatever. You know, and 4 is just like, it feels just ridiculous, like it's too big, and then everything up just feels more ridiculous to use. So 3-inch is what you want to use. It is the perfect, from my experience, it is the perfect size to do headlight restoration. Not too big, not too small. It is ideal. Well, anyhow, she called me up, really sweet lady. She had COVID. She called me and booked this appointment like 2 weeks beforehand. Usually I don't go out so far just because it gets complicated with things, but not going into that. About 2 weeks ahead she booked, and then she hit me up the day before, or the day of actually, and was like, hey, I got COVID, and you know 4 or 5 days into COVID, and it just feels like I have a cold, and you know, I'm still down to do this headlight headlight stuff, and I need this done, and if you can come. And I was like, it's perfectly fine. I'm outside. I'm fully vaccinated. I got masks. You got masks. You know, we could just, stay away from each other, and I'll take care of your shit, right? Didn't say that, of course. You got to be professional. But anyhow, I got there, and she started explaining to me what was going on, and I was like, oh my god, let me go get my camera. I gotta go get my camera out of the trunk and do all this shit. I'm already getting horny for it and shit, right? Like, ooh, I gotta see this, because I know I'm about to rock these headlights, and these fools couldn't do it. You know, I'm gonna show you the power. I was like, I want to show people the power of this shit and show people what a polish couldn't do. Moral of the story is, she went there and they couldn't do it. She sat there for about an hour and 15 minutes, she said, and they were working on her car for about an hour, and then one guy comes out, couldn't do it. Another guy goes in, and she said she kept looking through the window. I guess they had some kind of window where she could see, and another guy couldn't do it, and they were just sitting there, and they were rubbing all this stuff, and they were using these different devices and stuff like that. And they, eventually they came back and was like, oh, we're so sorry, we just can't do it, they're too far gone, and all this shit. And this is a typical thing what people will do. If they can't do it, they're so, prideful or just ashamed of themselves inside that they're underskilled, or they know they can do it, but they can't go the extra mile, or they're just not skilled enough. And me, if I don't know something, I'm just be like, nah, I can't fuck with that. I can't do that. Like, nah, I'm not doing that. Nah, I don't want to do that. Or nah, I'm gonna be real at some accord. I'm not just gonna try to save face or whatever. I'd have been like, oh, we're not equipped to do this. You might want to call another place. Blah 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 blah. I do it all the time. Well, I don't do it all the time because I can do everything. But I mean, if somebody calls, for instance, a lot of people call and they're like, do you install HIDs, and do you go inside the headlight? And because I got water dripping down and spider webs and shit, and I'm like, no, I don't do that. I don't go inside the headlights. I don't install HIDs. I get this call quite frequently, and I tell them no, and I give them a referral, and I tell them what to do, but I don't just be like, oh no, I just couldn't do it. Like, I don't do that or whatever. But anyhow, make a long story short, they told her, no charge and this and that, they're just too far gone and there's nothing you can do or whatever. And she says she started looking at the lights, and then, and it started going bad, about a month later. And she said they were pretty clear at first on the top halves, but, it went away. So she figured that maybe they just didn't know what they were doing if it just came back like that. So she contacted me and booked an appointment. I came out and was just looking at them, and she's telling me the story as I'm looking at them or whatever, and I'm just like, oh yeah, you don't worry about it, it's gonna take about an hour. I'll text you or whatever when you're ready, or when they're ready. You come out, check them out. I told her I guarantee they're gonna be nice. But I was so curious, that's why I had to do a polish of myself at the beginning. Like, why the fuck couldn't they polish these out, or do whatever they do? And I was just curious. I wanted to see it. But I've run into this a lot, and anybody who's just gonna do a polish on a headlight is always gonna run into this. Polishing a headlight only works about probably 40% of the time, maybe 35. I don't know. It depends on how many headlights you do. But most headlights aren't going to react to it properly. They'll get more clearer, but they will still look like shit. There will be spots that will not come out. Okay, this was hard etching from the sun, hard etching from just life. Okay, not really car washes or nothing like that. It was just some weird wear, hard etching that was a little bit deeper than a polish can even do. But like I said, the fibers and molecules are still damaged, and when you polish them, they're still damaged. They're just more clear again. That's part of the reason why it comes back. That's half the battle. The other half is that they don't clear coat the headlight after polishing. But the big moral of the story here is polishing headlights is not headlight restoration. Polishing headlights is like giving somebody a Band-Aid for a broken leg. You know what I'm saying? It's not the whole freaking shebang. It shouldn't even be sold. It's like if you want us to touch your headlight up, or just throw it in there as complimentary when you're, washing someone's car or some shit. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't be able to charge more than $20 for that. It's nothing. It takes, you see how fast I went. If this light was susceptible to it, I could have polished both sides out in about, maybe 5-10 minutes, 10 minutes max, maybe even 5 or so, if I'm just working through it, boom, 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 and it would have been all that clear. But the thing is, like I said, it would have came back in, less than 2 months, less than a month or whatever. And then you got these guys who are polishing them, and then they're coating them with like ceramics and shit like that. That's the same thing. It's just gonna come right back 2-3 months or whatever. And the fact that these guys are charging them, it blew my mind that they were trying to charge her what I was charging damn near. And it's like, what are you gonna do when she comes back in a month and a half? Like, what the fuck is this shit? My shit looks the same. It looks worse, right? So it's like, I just can't put myself in that position. That's insane. So to me, I said it's very lucky for them, I guess, that they couldn't do it, because you see how fast that light came back. She said it was pretty clear on the top part, and then they just like stopped. They couldn't do it. Couldn't go any further for some reason. So if those pieces weren't there and they just kept going, and they would have went, the whole light would have went back to shit in a month and some days. You know how pissed this lady probably would have been? Like, it's just bad karma. It's bad mojo and it's bad business. But nevertheless, at least they told her they couldn't finish it, because I feel it's just because they couldn't. It wouldn't come off without doing a full headlight restoration. And being a detailer, or anybody who is sitting in a shop, inside of a shop, ladies and gentlemen, not mobile or anything like that, you pay money for a shop, or you own it, or some shit, right? And you damn sure know what true headlight restoration is, and you're going to sit there and try to pawn off a polished headlight for headlight restoration. To me, it's not even in the category of headlight restoration. Okay, it's the lowest level. It's lower than the lowest level of headlight restoration. I had to tell a guy who was commenting on another page recently that, you keep it respectful, because, everybody has different ideology and views out there. You're the one that choose to make sense out of what everybody says. You don't get on somebody's page and be like, hey, you said it's this way, Mr. Headlight Restoration Pro. It's somebody else's page. I'm a scholar and I respect the art. Okay, no matter what somebody's doing, okay? As long as they're doing it right, there's 15 different, there's dozens of ways to do things right. It's just which one is righter. Everybody should figure that out for themselves. I know which way is the right way, or which is the best ways, and this and that, but there are different ways. So I just was trying to tell them to be respectful for whatever. But I was just flabbergasted how, just somebody, in a shop would be trying to do this for somebody's headlights, and it's not even headlight restoration to me. It's the only reason it's in a headlight restoration category is because it's on a headlight. It's not, and you can't sell it for that. It's a different day and age. Anyways, I want you to take a look at this part of this light here. Remember how it looked at the beginning, like this? Now look at it. It went from that golden color see-through to this crystal blue water see-through, right? Look at that. It's not even finished yet. I'm not even done yet, right? So it went from that to this, and so even polishing by itself cannot compare. Now, why would it change colors from that crystal or that clear yellow to this crystal blue like this? Because the damaged cells, once again, I'd have to show people this because they're like, what the hell are you talking about, heat bleaching and color changing and shit like that, right? And a lot of people can't get it until you show them. And I show people this on the regular, like, look at this here. You see this spot here? It's crystal clear blue like water versus it's crystal yellow, because those damaged cells on the surface, those damaged cells and oil deposits and shit like that are removed to fresh, clean, pure headlight surface, Okay, with a polish, you cannot ever achieve that. Okay, never achieve that. Far as removing all the damaged cells, you're still having the damaged cells. And that's part of the reason why that goes bad again. This is part of the reason why even if I polished that whole headlight out to that first state and then coated it, it would still have a half-life of a normal headlight restoration, because those damaged cells go back damaged so fast. They would go back to being damaged underneath the clear coat, essentially. Okay, they go bad faster and much faster rate because they're already damaged. They're already bad. They're just kind of changed or masked, if you can say. But I get this a lot, and I have to explain to people like, hey, you might want to call and check out their process. You might want to ask a couple questions. Sometimes it's irritating to, as a business, to hear all these questions or whatever. Like I've literally had like 30-minute conversations with people, and I'm like, like the proof's in the pudding and this and that, but you have to deal with them because they don't understand it, they don't know it. And it's actually the smart thing to ask questions if you're not sure about something. It's best, especially with headlight restoration, I would always advise everybody just to ask a couple questions. How long does the process take? When somebody says, oh, I'd be in there and out of there in 25 minutes, it would take 25 minutes to do your headlights. Okay, you already know what time it is. This shit does not take 25 minutes. If they say about 25 minutes a headlight, you'll be done in about, whatever, that's probably cool. If they say, hey, the whole thing, it'll take about 45 minutes or an hour, that'd be cool. But when you start talking about they're saying 25 minutes and 20 minutes and 15 minutes, something's fishy. They're not doing what they're supposed to do at many levels, that is. But, with that being said, polishing is shit. I mean, it's a quick little Band-Aid if it's an emergency situation. If you're just a do-it-yourselfer, you can get away with it on some lights, but it's just going to impact the problem. It's going to come back worse. It's going to be more aggressive the next time, and each time you do it, you're not going to be able to do it forever and come to a point where it's just going to go to shit every time you do it. And then you're going to, really need headlight restoration. And the thing is, when you're playing with that stuff like that, you're just messing with your headlight health, and things can happen, like they can crack or this and that. Different things, different onset permanent damage. You see my forced air right there. That cuts the drying time in half, which is already only like 3 minutes for the total dry. Crust surface without the fans, you're looking at maybe like 60 seconds, anywhere between 30 and 60 seconds of drying just on the crust. That means just the surface. You're talking through and through about 3 minutes. You're talking full cure in the summertime like it is out here, where it's like 90 to 110 each day, give or take, somewhere around there. You're talking like 2 minutes, for curing, like 7 hours or so, fully curing. But to the touch and all that stuff, maximum of 3 minutes. So this cuts that in half with the fans, like a minute and a half. So, like the sign says, make sure you subscribe. Check out the sign right there. That's a pro tip right there. That's how you let people know what time it is and what you're doing. Because a lot of people, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, do not know headlight restoration exists. Do not know that you can make somebody's headlight like this look better than the day it rolled off the lot. They don't come off the lot looking like this. They don't come out the factory looking this good. Right? When's the last time you seen a headlight look this good? Or look, I'm 1 inch away from the light. Look at this perfection. You can see every little detail in it. The better you can see in it like this, the better the light can see out. Think about that. Beautiful. And see those reflections and see the mirror reflections? That's reflecting light, baby. Check out more videos. Be sure to subscribe.
The Headlight Restoration PRO. The future of headlight restoration.